Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
It worked. I think. Are we live?
We are.
Is anyone there? Hope someone's there. So welcome, everyone.
Speak for yourself about being live.
Oh, Bernie's here. Hey, Bernie. At least we got one person here. So today's show, we've been thinking about a grassroots series for quite a while, and we kept putting it on the back burner. And we focused recently quite a lot on sort of the theory side of things. We've had some scholar activist guests who've been doing amazing work and research in the academic realm. And so this is important, of course, because we do need to inform our activism, so that we can be effective. So the theory is important. But after a couple of requests, and as lockdown kind of eases and we get back out there and activists are raring to go, we thought this is a perfect time to get back to the heart of activism and to something that's close to all of our hearts on the panel, which is grassroots. So we're going to be asking different activists to join us and to explore the what, the why, the where, the how of creating effective campaigns, running events, and just taking a look at the diverse ways activists can get involved in advocating for our fellow animals. So today we have Rose, who's here and who has been a co-organiser for Earthlings Experience, and she's a volunteer with Animal Rebellion, and she has lots to share with us. So welcome, Rose. Really good to have you.
Hey, thanks.
So we're responding to our audience, really. I was wondering whose brainchild this was. I suppose it's everybody's brainchild. It's an interesting phrase, that brainchild. Where does that come from? Like your brain giving birth to something. weird language. Tell you another thing that I was thinking of. People say, let's hope the show is not going to be a damp squib. Has anybody know any other types of squib? I mean, is there a dry squib? Has anybody seen a dry squib? I've only seen damp ones. So yeah, there you go. We're going to start off with this little bit of news now. For people watching, you probably noticed a few differences here. We're using a different streaming platform. This is called Restream rather than StreamYard, and so we've tested it out. It seems a little bit slow, but we're going to give it a go just to see. But it seems a bit slow in getting the captions up. So we thought this would be an interesting one to show you first, because we were talking about this as the team this morning, really. And we were just saying that for our international viewers, it might be interesting for you to think about showing your government this scheme that's going on in Britain, see whether they want to adopt it as well. Seems like a pretty interesting idea. But Nelly, you were saying there's some downsides to it. Is that what you're saying?
Not downsides. I said that obviously this does not resolve the problem. But since there have been many women trying to get away, and usually women in that position may also be without money, being able to get somewhere and get a ticket so you can go get away is obviously useful. And since there have been documented cases that persons have been trying to do that, I think it's a very good initiative.
Yeah, I mean, the worst case scenario would be for a woman to arrive at a railway station with no money and be delayed getting onto a train.
Because there've been cases where this has happened. They also, women that in order to get away, they had to ask for money from strangers, which is a very difficult thing to do. So I believe that it is a good thing. It is a positive thing.
Yeah, difficult and also potentially dangerous, I suppose. So. Well, for those people who watched the debate that was done yesterday, will know that we started off then with the story about the piggy, or the piggy family, and so we're going to talk about that on this as well. Let me Bear with me, folks.
And while we're waiting, let's just say hello to the folks. So we've got Deb here, and Deb loves the blue background, by the way. Oh, we were just saying that, Deb. We were just saying how we really like the background. It looks great. We've got Joanna here. Hey, Joanna. Lovely to see you. Amber, how lovely of you to join us again. And we've got Ronnie Lee back. Not at the vet this week, Ronnie. So good to see you back, Ronnie. And we've got Jeremy here. I wonder if Jeremy's going to get debating along with Roger on this show. I don't know if anyone saw that yesterday, but a great debate to catch up on if anyone missed it on the channel. And we got Benny B. And say hello, anyone who has just joined us. Laura. Hi, Laura. Welcome, everyone. And we got Brian's bottom here as well, which is always a delight on a Monday evening, isn't it, Brian? And he's just lost his favourite toy under the cabinet, so that's not a good start.
Well, his bottom is his best feature, let's face it, so that's all right.
Have you heard this, Brian?
Yeah, so this is the story of Matilda and family, and I find this raises all kinds of really interesting animal rights points, and not least the thing that I kind of mentioned yesterday, which was the idea that we have now newly free living beings who then need to be rescued, and of course it would be true, wouldn't it? Because they would be in danger if they stayed there. Not least because their location had been kind of given away on social media and through the media. So if they'd have just said, well, just let's leave them, they'd have been in danger of being killed, wouldn't they?
Yes, and also I assume that the place where the mother gave birth must be relatively close to the farm. So they could also be found by the farmer if left there.
Yeah. So the story is that she liberated herself, then gave birth. Then a walker found her and exposed it, as it were. Apparently, this walker is a vegetarian. You can never trust a vegetarian, can you? And didn't mean that, folks. And then the farmer got the pig family back, as far as I remember, and then there was a couple of demonstrations, and then the farmer relented, presumably, and then now the family's with a sanctuary.
Jeremy's.
Yes, Tom.
Sorry, Roger. I was going to say Jeremy's just said in the chat he read that the farm didn't even know that they were missing.
Oh.
Apparently.
Oh well, that's because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
It was used to go. I mean, go back to the LF days. If they did a raid on a broiler unit, the farmers would have no idea, because if you take 50, 100 out of a broiler unit, when there's thousands in there, then they're not going to notice.
Yeah. And there's a couple of comments as well. Tracy reiterated what Jeremy said about he didn't know that she was missing. And then Laura says that Matilda has a ring through her nose, so could not forage for food. So she would have obviously struggled to get her own food anyway.
Oh,
I think it's
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting. The kind of, and you might have kind of talked about this last night as well. The language that is used, and the walker actually says that she'd earned her freedom, and you do often find with the public that they do sort of get behind these individuals who escape, because I think it's almost like it's a romanticized hero, or in this case heroine's journey, so that against all odds these individuals are escaping and earning their freedom from their oppressor. So there's a real kind of mythology with it, because people, even non-vegans, really do get behind, and they sign petitions, and they some of the activism that was going on was contacting Marks and Spencer's, because I think the farm supplied so-called meat, the flesh to them. So there was a lot of threats of bad publicity. I don't know if the demos went ahead. I don't know if they were cancelled, actually, because I think there was no need in the end. But the threat of demonstrations was perhaps enough to get them to kind of comply and let Matilda go to sanctuary. But it's really interesting, isn't it? And yet they don't really consider that Matilda's one of many other individuals just like her, just as deserving of freedom.
I was going to say there seems to be some acknowledgement in that story that the Matilda has some agency and wants to be free, but that never seems to in the press never seems to kind of elicit any further exploration about those other individuals, who weren't able to free
yeah, but I
themselves.
mean that's explained by that quote though, Tom, because she's earned freedom. The others presumably have not.
They're not worthy.
I mean, from an animal rights point of view, this is an entirely bizarre story. Everybody's making a big fuss.
Yeah.
You know, and all that. This picture shows the nose ring that was commented. I didn't pick up on that one. That would have been a problem, I guess.
I mean, this is a common narrative. Whenever other animals escape, they are presented as special individuals, as if the rest of the species is not as special. And most non-vegans, they don't even think that not all humans are in a position to escape from a situation. It depends on where you're in prison, what's happening to you, if there is a way to escape. I mean, it's the same with other animals. What does this mean? Humans that cannot escape from a situation deserve to die? Of course not.
Yeah, that's one of the most bizarre things, isn't it? Rose, what do you make of this story, all told?
Well, yeah, I agree with what you just said about, it's quite bizarre because how the public have reacted as well. That, I'm sure it's great that it's kind of highlighted the fact that this is happening to pigs. A lot of people just don't see the state that pigs are in and not aware that they have like rings in the nose and things like that. But I'm sure there are a lot of meat eaters and vegetarians, flexitarians that have, advocated for the pig to be rescued, which is, like you said, quite strange. And this pig deserves it, but other pigs don't. Obviously, doesn't make sense to us. But I hope it's good to see this kind of story in the media and that pigs are getting attention because, most of the time we're not seeing stories like this. So I think it's definitely a positive thing, and I hope it makes people think about where their food is coming from. So it's definitely.
Do you think that? Sorry, Rose, didn't mean to interrupt there. Do you think that as a movement we ought to capitalise on this kind of thing in order to raise the awareness of individuals? Because obviously people have jumped on board and really related to Matilda as an individual and the story and her courage and her complete determination and everything she had to overcome is just incredible, and people can really relate to that. And I wonder, should we just let that pass, or should we advocate on the back of these kind of events a little bit more? Is that something that we don't do enough of?
I think we've done pretty well with this story and keeping the momentum going and keeping this story in the news and on social media. I think it's good to capitalize on this kind of thing, and it does make people see these pigs as individuals and this mother pig. I think just the fact that she's a mother escaping a horrific situation and escaping death is going risking her life and getting injured and whatever just to get out of there and to give birth. I think anyone can empathize with that, and so I think it's a really great. Obviously, it's a horrific thing to happen, but the pig shouldn't be there in the first place. But the fact that the stories got out there, I'm glad that someone did alert the press rather than keeping it quiet. And in the end, she was saved and her babies have been saved. So,
Ronnie said, hopefully this. Obviously, we're wondering, will pig eaters be affected by this story to the extent that they might think about the ones that they don't know the names of, that kind of thing. I was wondering about the woman who found them, who is a vegetarian. I wonder if all of this has kind of created, awareness of animal use in general that might move her to veganism. It'd be interesting, wouldn't it? So,
maybe we should get her on the show.
Probably. I think that it's important to actually use these stories when we talk about other animals, because that way we're highlighting their agency. And because there is a tendency in the movement, some part of the movements, to behave as saviors, is a good way to show that other animals are not passive and are not voiceless, and they resist, and they're aware of their predicament. So I think that it's an excellent way to show to non-vegans that other animals value their life and they value their freedom. They are actually individuals.
Nell, didn't you attend a talk recently about that subject?
Yes, and it was mind-blowing because apparently there are documented cases of animals resisting and escaping from the Roman times, since the Roman times. It was very interesting. It was by the author of the book Animals in the Capitalist Era. I'm not sure I'm remembering the title correctly. Let me see if I can find it. But it was the author had documented all these resistance instances. For example, a goat in Italy escaped. He lived with deer for a year, and then a year later he goes back to the farm and he brings down the door and liberates another 60 goats. Mm. And also in these stories, there are of course there are the details of every incident, and you see that in some cases planning is needed. It's not just a thing that, because sometimes they say, yeah, that's just instinct. They fight to get free, but it doesn't mean anything. Sometimes they need to plan for it. So it's not just an instinctive reaction. They are liberating themselves.
Yeah, Bernie said that, I remember when Babe came out, that a lot of advocates leafleted outside the cinemas and everything, saw that as a kind of gateway movie, which is interesting, really. I mean, obviously the main actor went vegan on the basis of it, although ironically, I think he wears leather. He was interviewed by Wayne Sean once, and he said that he wore leather and maybe eats eggs now and again, but calls himself a vegan. But also, I think they changed the pig off quite often, because during the filming, the original ones got too big, and so they had to keep, using other pig babies or other individuals of the same age. So, and then I think the ones who'd grown too big were just given back to the farms. So, as usual, there's a downside to these.
And I think just to say, Pamela put in the chat Animal Justice Emergency. The book is that you're talking about, Nella, and the talk was given by Surat Collins. So it's Animal Resistance in the Global Capitalist Era. And then Deb also mentioned a book, Fear of the Animal Planet, by Jason Harible. Is that Harible? Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, Deb.
Thank you, Pamela. I'm really bad with book titles.
That one there. Yeah, this platform is really slow when it comes to captions. So it's not, like you can get them up on StreamYard a lot quicker than this. So that's one downside of it.
Ronnie's made a point.
Oh, yeah.
Go on, Tom.
I was just going to say, Ronnie's made an interesting point in the chat about the importance to follow up newspaper publicity with letters promoting veganism, especially in local papers, are more likely to be published. Yeah.
Ronnie's always talking about contacting local papers. Bernie Wright from afar in Ireland does that a lot as well. And it is true that you can get into regional and local papers a lot easier. Well, it's a little bit like you can get onto regional radio more than national, and it's kind of obvious in a way that they're more receptive to things that go off in their locality. Presumably, wherever in the country that took place, there'll have been a lot more coverage of it there than anywhere else, I would think. And finally on this, before we concentrate on our guest panelist, this thing that you can see on the screen was shared amongst the team this morning. And of course, there was one phrase that leapt out at me. I wonder whether any of the people in the audience can think what it was, given the fact that we concentrate so much on language with the Animal Rights Show. Don't know if I don't want to make it into a competition or anything, but this phrase here, "gorgeous girl," really popped out to me. To rescue this gorgeous girl,
courageous girl.
Oh, courageous girl, that's right. Yeah, and the beautiful babies. Well, the thing is, presumably, having given birth to her babies, she's proven that she's not a girl. She's an adult. You know, this is part of this infantilization of other animals that goes on, you know. Anyway, that's just my bugbear, I suppose.
Just one thing that sorry, Nella.
Oh, go ahead. I just going to say that apparently she's courageous, though, because anyone needs courage in order to escape.
Definitely courageous. Just one thing that just to kind of pose as a question, really, is it does raise a question about when we transition to a vegan world, about other animals being liberated, because, as you said right at the start, Roger, she would have been in danger, because obviously in our species' culture and her categorization as a food animal, she would have been very much in danger, regardless of her being the property of the farmer. But also she would have been in danger, probably from the public as well, because of her categorization. So it does raise the question of our transitioning to a vegan world. Are we going to have like guardians protecting individuals who are liberated? You know, if they're not in sanctuaries, are we going to have like an army of guardians?
You'd have had to have guards, wouldn't you? Because if you'd have thought, well, the animal rights thing to do there would be to kind of, you know, leave them alone, as it were. That might be a viable animal rights strategy. They've liberated themselves. They're now free living. You know, the problem of the nose ring aside, but then they would have had to be protected in the same way as free living beings in places like Africa and
from poachers and things.
Poaching, and there would have been people trying to kill them, especially around Christmas time, I would imagine, as well. And so, you know, any kind of you know, celebration, that type of stuff. So it would have been thing. Going back to what you said, Wendy, about the property status, that was another bit of it that popped out to me, because apparently the sanctuary were going to ask permission to the farmer to rescue them, and it's really weird. I mean, like again, you know, in terms of the evolution of the movement, I mean, I think that at one time you would have just gone ahead and done it. You know, it would have just been done, as it were, and you know, sod the consequences type of thing. But you know, in terms of the idea of asking the property owner, you know, please can we, kind of thing, that wouldn't have been, that really jumped out at me, that particular the mother and the babies were already back at the farmers when the sanctuary had to take them away, because apparently they immediately went back to the farmer. There was one report that I saw which said that the sanctuary was going to ask the farmer if it's okay to remove them from the wood. From the farm. Okay. And so
and then they did go back, didn't they? And then because of the threat of the demo and everything,
status, doesn't it? I mean, you know, I mean, if you want to reinforce the property status of other animals, then there it is, because even though she'd liberated herself, she was still an item of property.
The problem is, though, is that if that didn't happen, the animal's well-being would be more precarious.
Yeah.
You know, that's
because they can still come back, can't they? They can still come and get them. They can find them and take them back. Yeah.
And also, you have to take them somewhere together, because the mother is nursing their newborns. So I think it's quite easy to spot a mother with 9 pigs.
Right,
if you secretly remove them. So sorry, Rose, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it said in the screenshot that you shared, it says like, thank you to the farm for letting us take them. I think it said something like that, which, it does sound really strange. And like, we shouldn't have to be asking for permission, like you said, like, I don't really understand why that happened. Like, obviously we should just liberate them ourselves. But and to thank the farmer, like how kind of them to allow these animals to carry on living as, strange.
The farmer had mercy, right?
Yeah.
Thank you through gritted teeth.
Wendy, I'm stressed out enough today without you.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Roger. I'm sorry. I apologise. I take back the M word. I take it back.
So Rose, we've got a number of images, and so we just thought we'd put these up while we're talking in general to you, and you know, feel free to comment on them should you wish. So I'll just do that. But I don't know. Are we going to maybe talk about you? You were an organizer for Earthlings Experience first thing, right? For a couple of years.
Yeah. So I kind of started doing activism probably around 8 years ago. Lots of stuff like PETA, just handing out leaflets, and then found out about Earthlings Experience. I was actually living in Hong Kong at the time, so I started doing it there, and then moved to London, and then carried on doing Earthlings, and meeting loads of amazing activists, and then eventually helping organize. And now I organize. Well, I don't do that much organizing of Earthlings anymore, so I don't have so much time. But Joanna, who I think is watching, does most of the organizing for Earthlings in London now. It's twice a week. She's there every single Earthlings is like Wednesdays and Saturdays. So it's twice a week in London. For anyone that doesn't know, I think most people here probably know, but Earthlings is about.
Well, if the organizer is watching, go Joanna, because I think Earthlings Experience is great. You know, I've done loads of those, and I think they're brilliant. You know, so
well done, Joanna.
I like
she's
the
here.
kind of looseness of them, to be honest. But that's one of the attractions, as far as I can see. But
formal, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think, Earthlings Experience came before the Cube of Truth, and obviously there's kind of like a different vibe. Some people prefer like the more structured style of the Cube of Truth, whereas others prefer like a more laid back approach of Earthlings Experience, which I prefer.
So if people want to join an outreach event by Earthlings Experience, should they just arrive at the given place and participate, or they need to contact the organizer beforehand? How does it work?
Yeah, anyone can just show up. So it's always 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. On a Wednesday at Carnaby Street. So there's like near Pret on Carnaby Street, or Shakespeare's Head Pub, and Leicester Square on a Saturday, 6 till 8 as well. But all the information's on Facebook. We've got Facebook events for every single event. So you can just find out what you need to do. But you can just show up. You don't need to bring anything. But if you want to, you can bring a device with footage on it.
I don't know anything about Hong Kong, Rose, but I mean, it sounds like it must have been weird doing outreach there. Was it, or was it just like everywhere else?
When I was doing it, there wasn't so much. Obviously, there's a bit of a language barrier as well for most of us. A lot of people that were doing Earthlings were Westerners and couldn't speak Cantonese. So there was a lot of it was just handing out leaflets rather than have it and like showing the footage, rather than actually having those conversations, which is really, really important. So I think, it probably wasn't as effective me being there as like a local being there. But it was still.
What footage did you use? I mean, like in Ireland, we produced a film. It's called Animal Exploitation in Ireland. So we show that one, then we show the usual ones. I think it's Land of Hope and Glory. But of course, in Ireland, people go, well, that's the UK, not to do with us, kind of thing. So it's good to have Irish footage being shown, and we also have got some positive footage. So we have a real mixture. It's not just graphic stuff, you know. So what footage would you use in Hong Kong?
I'm trying to remember now. I think we're probably using a lot of Earthlings, and I'm sure there was some local footage as well, but from like Hong Kong or China. But I'm not sure exactly. That was quite a few years ago, so I don't remember. But I think we definitely do have those conversations still. Like we do show like Land of Hope and Glory in London, and people are like, oh no, this doesn't happen here, and it's like, this is literally in the UK. So I think it's really important to show local footage as well.
There's a lot of praise for Earthlings from Jeremy and Tracy and Bernie V. Where's Bernie V's message gone? Bernie V has just organised their first Earthlings Experience for next month in Glasgow.
Well done,
Bernie V. Well done. Excellent news.
Glasgow.
Yeah. Rose, I just wanted to ask you, what when you're organising, co-organising, how much of your time does it take to do that? Because I think some people do get maybe scared of becoming an organizer because of maybe not knowing how to start or how much time it's going to take, that kind of thing. How much time did it take you, and how would you start if you were starting now? If you've got any advice or guidance for anyone watching?
yeah, I guess kind of everything was set up already for me because it was Jane and Phoebe that started Earthlings in London, and so it was already going. So it wasn't like I started it from the beginning. I was just the one that was like bringing the masks. We wear white masks and some devices and stuff and placards. But yeah, all you need is we have like a website where you can order the masks, and it's up to people whether or not they wear those masks. People, I think, are wearing them less now because of COVID and everything, just for like hygiene reasons, and just like some people think they're more effective and some people don't. But so it's up to each organizer or individual at the event. So just need masks, a device or two, and maybe some placards if you want. Normally we bring chalk as well so that we can like write messages on the pavement and things like that. Really anyone can do it. You just need to get you and some friends to like just start doing it, or find local vegans and just encourage people to do it. And normally we just do it for like 2 hours, just standing there and having great conversations with the public. And I think the more you do it, the easier it gets. Maybe it's good to like go to a local one or somewhere near you in a city nearby if you don't have one in your city, and then maybe you can start one in your own city when you feel confident doing so. But really anyone can join, and just reach out to Earthlings Experience on Facebook if you want to start your own chapter.
Yeah, sounds good. Excellent.
Rose, right now you're volunteering mainly for Animal Rebellion. Is that right? So
and you're being naughty. Look at all these police officers.
They were all after you, Rose.
And obviously this is a different kind of activism, a different experience.
This is the Rose Squad.
So do you want to tell us a little about Animal Experience, and so people that maybe want to get involved know how to proceed?
Yeah, so Animal Rebellion, for anyone that doesn't know, so we're a grassroots organisation that revolves around civil disobedience, and it's an anti-speciesist movement that also talks about climate change. So we're fighting for animal and climate justice. The tactics, the strategy are very different to say like vegan outreach. So we're not asking individuals to change and go vegan, which obviously we encourage that and support groups that do, but that's just not what Animal Rebellion is about. So we're focusing on system change. So we're asking the government and pillars of society to transition to a plant-based food system. So we're asking the government to support farmers to transition to plant-based farming, asking big corporations like McDonald's to transition to a plant-based menu, and all those responsible for the destruction of the planet and causing animal suffering. We're asking them to change basically. So it obviously involves getting arrested sometimes. So you don't have to be willingly arrestable. We have a mix of people. So it's probably most people are not willingly arrested and prefer a supporting role. So like at any of our actions or events, we have like supporting roles like well-being, or we do outreach, but more about like why we're there rather than trying to get people to go vegan. But there are loads of roles like behind the scenes, like social media and like everything. There's lots of ways to get involved. Shall I explain what's going on in this photo? It looks kind of scary.
This is the police bringing you sandwiches, isn't it?
Yeah, they just love us. They're always showing up at our events. They won't leave us alone. So this was during the G7 summit in Cornwall happened last week, a couple of weeks ago. So we went down there. We had our own campsite, and we were just going to do a couple of fairly small protests. It was just a march on the first day, and then a muck sit-in, which I can explain more about that, but it's basically where we sit inside a McDonald's and occupy it. We didn't have anything really crazy planned, and the police said that they had intelligence on us that we had items on the property to cause either criminal damage or public nuisance. So they raided the property and unfortunately arrested 15 people on that site that were there. They were actually people that really didn't want to get arrested and had stayed behind that day to avoid getting arrested, and unfortunately got arrested. And then they also arrested a couple more vehicles full of people that were coming into the camp later. So they brought like loads of dogs and police vans and over 60 police officers. Yeah, went through all our tents and everything and took people's phones.
Do you want to explain the caption there, Rose?
Oh yeah. So yeah, for all those arrestees, obviously they've lost property like phones, cameras, laptops. Like our photographer lost all of her equipment, which she relies on for her work. So we've set up a crowdfunder to raise money to help those people and get some of their get property or like technology and things that they need temporarily, so that they can continue with work or normal life. Because a lot of people just lost their phones and laptops, which it's really stressful for people, understandably.
Yeah. And Rose, you didn't yourself get arrested this time, but you were arrested yourself last year, weren't you, at an event? And was it called Blood on Our Hands or something, that campaign? And very striking images of you standing in Trafalgar Square with the water turned red. And I don't know if you could tell us a little bit about the experience of the arrest and things like that.
Yeah, sure. So we did. Yeah, it was called Blood on Your Hands. So the messaging was that the government have blood on their hands and they're responsible for the deaths of billions of animals and the death of the planet as well. So we decided, we wanted to paint something red or make something very red. So we thought the fountains in Trafalgar Square are really iconic. So we used a vegan dye to dye fountains. So I was in one fountain, another activist was in the other fountain. And then, so the fountains went completely red and we just stayed in the fountains. I think it was for an hour to 2 hours while the police kind of stood around not knowing what to do with us. They wouldn't get in the water. So they waited for us to come out and then, they arrested us straight away. So we were just taken to the local police station, Charing Cross, and basically it's quite boring. I think I'd recommend bringing a book, but they have free vegan food. You can keep ordering, kind of a little bit like being in a hotel. You can keep ordering food and drinks as much as you want. I got clean, dry clothes as well. But it was before that I was kind of scared about getting arrested, and we're always told it's only bad people get arrested and things. And the more I've been reading about activism, the history of activism, I don't know, so many people in the past have good people that are just fighting for justice have been arrested, and I think civil disobedience.
Steady on, only bad people get arrested. Steady on, steady on.
That's what I used to
just to make something clear for people watching, no one is pressed to do something they don't feel comfortable about it. With animal rebellion in general, I just wanted to make this clear. People that they want to go to an event, it doesn't mean that they necessarily are going to get arrested, or that anyone is expecting from them to get arrested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. We're well-being and making people feel comfortable is really important. In Animal Rebellion, we have a really strong culture in that sense, and it's only people that feel comfortable that at the time I felt like it was something I could do, and I was prepared. I thought about it for a long time. It wasn't on the day I just decided to jump in the fountain. It was I'd been prepped beforehand and had conversations with people that had been arrested before. I can see the question from Deb asking what I was charged with. So it was criminal damage, and in the end, we went to court. We went to Crown Court in the end. We requested to go to Crown Court, but it didn't even go that far. The judge kind of thought the whole thing was just pointless and didn't really see
criminal damage by staining the fountain. Is that it?
Well, they said we didn't actually stain the fountain. We made sure that we used dye that would not stain the stone because we didn't want to cause permanent damage. Even though it was temporary, they charged us with criminal damage, but in the end it was dropped because there was no actual criminal damage. It was temporary, and they couldn't prove that there was any cleaning costs or anything. I think they just drained the fountain and replaced the water. So that was all fun.
Okay, it's competition time here. From
wow,
32
well
times.
done.
I think we could probably know wins this competition probably, but that's pretty good going. I imagine you might have been arrested because of the gob bit quite often.
Just picking up. Oh, sorry, Nell. I just wanted to pick up on a couple of the comments that had come in that were a bit lower down. If if you don't
Go
mind.
ahead.
Unless you want to say something.
No,
It's
no, no.
literally, let me just scroll down. It was, I think Jeremy and Ronnie were talking about, can we not scroll down on these comments like we did on StreamYard? I can't seem to.
It's not as responsive, this system, is it at all?
No, I can't get down there now.
And also they're jumping about for me, so it means when you click on one to show it, it shows something else, which does happen on StreamYard, but it's a lot quicker than this.
Yeah, I don't seem to be able to get down the comments, but it was basically the premise of, one was asking, someone asked, I don't know if it was Ronnie or someone else was saying, why not encourage people to go vegan? And then there was an exchange, I think, between Ronnie and Jeremy saying, I think Jeremy was saying, expressing concern about the move away from individual responsibility. But I think for me, I kind of see that it's not one or the other. I don't think we can just advocate for individual change or system change. I think we have to do both. I don't think we should gear all our activism in one way, like in a very singular way. I think there has to be I think Patrice Jones calls it a biodiversity of activism that's going to help change. I don't think we can just focus on one thing. What would you say to that, Rose?
Yeah, I totally agree. We're not saying people shouldn't go vegan. We definitely, of course, we want people to go vegan, but that's just not what Animal Rebellion's main aim is. Like I said, we focus on system change. It's like Earthlings Experience focuses on individual change and not system change, and that's totally fine. And there's loads of groups doing their own thing, and it's just Animal Rebellion's strategy is to focus on system change. Of course, we welcome individual change as well.
Rose, is one of the correct me if I'm wrong about this, is one of the aims with previous aims with maybe it's more Extinction Rebellion based, but to try get a citizens' assembly in place to try enact some of these systemic changes. Is that correct?
I think that's more of an Extinction Rebellion thing. Okay. I don't think we still do have we do people's assemblies now and again within Animal Rebellion, but I don't think long term we haven't said that we're doing planning for a citizens assembly, but I'm not entirely sure if we've ever said that. So I'm not part of the messaging team, so I'm not entirely sure if that's part of our goals. But I don't think so.
And about the comment, something I would like to say. I had the opportunity to attend some Animal Rebellion events during the first rebellion, and from what I remember, all the activists that they were there, we were having conversation with, they were also doing outreach at some other day with some other group. It's not that people really have to choose, I'm doing this kind of activism or the other. Mm-hmm. It was impressive because you had many people doing multiple kinds of activism. So I don't think that one takes away from the other.
Yeah, definitely. It's just I still go to Earthlings and Cubes and and still obviously you have it involved in Animal Rebellion, and loads of people in Animal Rebellion also do all of those things. So it's not there's not one form of activism that we should just focus on. I totally agree. We should all be doing it.
About the consistency of your kind of position, really. Do you want to address that? Would you say that there's any tension there, or does those things live together, or what?
Sorry, can you say that again? Position?
Yeah, it said, I find Animal Rebellion very confusing as they talk about animal rights, but their official position is campaigning for a plant-based food system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess, the first principle and value of Animal Rebellion is that we're an anti-speciesist organization. We make sure all of our messaging and actions always mention animal suffering. But obviously, what our focus is animal agriculture and fishing. It's just that we've got that focus of both animal suffering and climate change and environmental destruction. So all of our actions have to encompass both of those things. With blood on your hands, we're mentioning both animal suffering and the blood of our planet. With the recent McDonald's ones, we're talking about again animal suffering and the destruction McDonald's causes to the environment as well. We just make sure. That's just kind of our niche, I suppose. A lot of people do go vegan or support us because of environmental reasons as well. We're trying to kind of bring two movements together as well, because we need as many people as possible to create mass mobilization. And I think we need to try and work better with other organizations, other groups, and other movements as well. So outside of animal rights, we need the environmental movement to help us with this, and I think both are important as well, obviously.
And then
sorry, did I block somebody off there?
No, it's all right. I was just kind of extending Pamela's follow-up comment, animal justice emergency, following that previous comment that you put up on screen. Pamela says it's not exactly system change per se, it's a reformist position, which I suppose it is. It's reforming a system rather than changing it in a way. Is that how you would see it, Rose?
I don't know, like I guess it could be just reforming, but I mean, yeah, I don't think we're going to see, I mean, ideally, yeah, we'd like to see the whole system change or like worse, transitioning to a better system, I suppose. Yeah, it could be reforming, but yeah, I guess, yeah, we're trying to, improve the current system, because we know like parts of the system work. We do have plant-based food in this current system, but it's not all just and sustainable. So that's like another part of our aims, our goal is to create a just and sustainable plant-based food system. So a lot of plant-based food is not actually just.
Pamela's kind of clarified a question, but I'm assuming you're probably going to say if you do the one, it's going to do the other. I would think, wouldn't you? Animal Rebellion doesn't really campaign for other animals, but for a different food system.
Well, I think we're campaigning for animals by asking for a transition to a plant-based food system. So like everyone, like the founders of Animal Rebellion, like the core team of Animal Rebellion, have all come from animal rights backgrounds, and we're using this to create justice for animals. Obviously, we're not targeting all ways that animals are abused. So obviously, we're not mentioning animal testing or the fur industry. There are other groups that are doing that and doing a fantastic job. But yeah, it's just that our focus is the food system, and we can create a lot less suffering, because we know most suffering of animals happens in the food industry or the food system. And so yeah, we relieve a lot of that suffering by transitioning to a plant-based food system. So to me personally, not speaking for the whole of Animal Rebellion, but the reason I'm part of Animal Rebellion is to end the suffering of animals in the food system. So that's why I do this, because I don't want to see, we don't need to be animals, we all know that, and the current food system is exploiting them. And if we transition to a plant-based food system, that will help bring us closer to at the end of animal suffering.
So we've got about 12 minutes left. So we wanted obviously to talk about the sit-ins that you've been involved in, and also the big action, I suppose. Before that, however, I suppose in terms of the questions you get asked all the time, it must be this kind of structural versus individual change thing that we've talked about already, but also presumably the relationship between Animal Rebellion and Extinction Rebellion. You must get asked that all the time. So is that a kind of smooth kind of thing, or is there tension there, or is it, you feel as though you're doing kind of similar but different things? How does it work?
Yeah, I think we cross over with Extinction Rebellion a lot, and we work together well. But obviously, yeah, there are some tensions as well. So yeah, the reason that Animal Rebellion came about in the first place was because Extinction Rebellion don't mention animal agriculture and fishing's effect on the environment and climate change, which obviously, to me, I was like, when I first found out about Extinction Rebellion, I thought, this is great. They must be talking about the animals, and then found out they weren't. And I was like, yeah, why not? And so that's why Animal Rebellion was formed. And then, so now I guess our main, one of our goals was to get our messaging into Extinction Rebellion's messaging, and to get them to start talking about animal ag and fishing. And now they are. So I think we're achieving that goal. Like, they're sharing our posts. They're really supportive of our actions, especially the McDonald's one recently, like shutting down the distribution centers for McDonald's. I don't think many people can disagree with that. So, but yeah, they're sharing our messaging. Their recent newsletter was all about speciesism. So they've never mentioned speciesism before. And obviously they mention their anti-oppression, like they talk about oppression of humans a lot on the planet, obviously, but they've never really spoken about animals. So because of Animal Rebellion, I feel like we're getting our message in there, and it's an important one for the planet and obviously animals as well. So yeah, there are some tensions, I guess, like the fact that, not everyone in Extinction Rebellion is advocating for plant-based food system and everything, and for the end of animal oppression. But I think we're getting there slowly, and yeah, we're getting our messaging in there. So that's just like, and they've got a huge amount of support. So I think it's really important that we get that support.
There's something that I've noticed actually I've seen a number of, I guess, videos and on YouTube and stuff when it might speak to the fact that why Animal Rebellion formed in the first place, but somewhat anecdotal, but when a vegan speaks to someone from Extinction Rebellion, there's almost, I get a sense of some of these individuals will talk about, oh, well, it's all about system change, trying to remove any sense of individual responsibility. And I was wondering when I'm seeing these videos, if that is kind of affecting the culture amongst some of these activists, whether it's completely not relevant at all, which I think is, I don't think that speaks to what you're saying, Rose, but I think that could be a bit of a problem going forward. But I appreciate what you're saying, trying to marry a bit of outreach and talk about individual campaign, individual change as well, which you've mentioned. There is outreach at some of the campaigns as well, but it's just something that I've observed.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think, yeah, I do find it frustrating when I think people should practice what they preach. And if you're an environmentalist, then yeah, you shouldn't be eating animal products. And as we know, that's one of the biggest causes of climate change and environmental destruction. So yeah, to me, it doesn't make sense. But I know, yeah, not everyone's there yet. But yeah, I think there are a lot of people in Extinction Rebellion that are vegan, and there is an XR vegan group and things. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think, yeah, all of us probably don't understand why people that, yeah, are like environmentalists and not vegan. But yeah, I think the more that we get our message out there, we're creating like more of a cultural shift as well, making the idea of a plant-based food system and like a vegan world more just become the norm. Basically, it's realistic, and yeah, hopefully it's going to help people go vegan.
I do wonder with some of the campaigns, whilst I do support them, I think what you're doing is great with it. Sometimes the ambition it's almost too ambitious in some cases. That would be my critique, because if you look at an organization like McDonald's, there's so many things wrong with that organization. I understand the kind of targeting the fact that that's a capitalist symbol of lots of things that are wrong, but I guess it can be tricky to push the focus of animal rights because you're focusing on all these other things as well. Would that be fair to say sometimes?
Yeah, I see what you mean, and I know it. Some of our demands are huge. Like, I don't know. Well, some people say that, like, I think like plant-based food system. Obviously, we're nowhere near that yet, but we're just trying to shift the way people think about our food system and bring this idea. Because before, I don't know, a few years ago, I'd never thought of like the idea of the term plant-based food system is being seen more in the press now, which is what we're trying to do, and asking McDonald's to go plant-based by 2025. So a lot of people, that's like, yeah, crazy, but it's just getting that idea out there. And yeah, maybe it's not going to happen by 2025, maybe it'll happen by 2030, but it is realistic. We're giving them 3.5 years to change their menu, or we think it's realistic, and it is possible. But yeah, whether they'll actually do that, probably not. But that's not the point. It's just getting that idea out there and making this idea normal. And yeah, hopefully people in society will realize that, yeah, this is something, well, it has to happen eventually. We can't continue the way we are for the animals and like the planet. It's not sustainable. So yeah.
Is there a deliberate, oh, Nella, we're like little twins. We just like talking at the same time.
Go ahead.
It was only a quick question just to ask. I don't know if someone's already asked this indirectly, but I just wanted to try directly. Is it a very deliberate strategy not to mention vegan and to just always use the language plant-based food system? Is there a deliberate avoidance of the word vegan because of, you know, the people's perception of vegans and veganism?
Yeah, I think we don't. I think like in our messaging, like when writing or like in press releases and things, we'll say plant-based, but I mean, it's not like we're like never ever use the word vegan in any of our things. Like when we go to McDonald's, we talk about bringing vegan food with us, and don't say plant-based. But yeah, I do think that the word vegan, I don't know, the press has twisted that word and made it into something negative in like some of the media. So I feel like it does put some people off, whereas plant-based, I don't know, for whatever reason, some members of the public find it more inclusive, inviting, whereas like vegan, people might have negative connotations or like have like angry vegan, things like that. So yeah, I think obviously the word vegan also includes not using like anything tested on animals, and obviously we're not talking about that. So maybe that's another reason why we're using plant-based. But obviously we're talking about the food system as well as like being plant-based and not entirely. And
just to say, Amber is planning to do join Mixed Sit-In. So yay, Amber.
Nice.
Well done, Amber.
Cool. Yeah, should I explain what the Mixed Sit-In is? I just realised I haven't explained that.
So this is like an ongoing campaign, the McDonald's thing. You were telling us in the planning meeting that after the big thing at the distribution centres, the McDonald's thought that the sit-ins are going to be massive as well, and one of them actually closed most of themselves down before you even got there. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. So the first Mixed Sit-ins. So basically, it's where we peacefully. I saw I think the title of that article said that we stormed the place, but we didn't storm. We just walk in like regular customers, totally peacefully. It's not like we're running in, charging at them with vegetables or whatever. But yeah, we just walk in calmly, sit down at their tables, and then take out vegan food and just eat vegan food in there. It's basically based on the civil rights movement in the 60s, where there were segregated lunch counters. So it'd be like a white-only lunch counter where black activists would go and sit down and eat. And so yeah, that's
there it is in black and white. You must have done it. You must have done it. I mean, if it's in the newspapers,
you stormed. Don't tell
stormed the McDonald's in Cornwall of all places.
Yeah, if the Mirror says it, then obviously it's true.
Must be true.
But yeah, so basically we just for the first one it was in London, and I think we posted it on Facebook. So the police thought that it was going to be another like big action. It was shortly after the disruption of the distribution centres. And so they shut down all of the indoor seating areas in at least in the West End, maybe the whole of central London. We're not sure. We didn't get a chance to go to every McDonald's, but so we ended up sitting outside the Leicester Square one, and they had like an outdoor seating area. And basically just we have our like some flags and patches and things and badges so that we can identify as Animal Rebellion and do a little speech when we first get there, just to say we're here, we're peaceful, we're just going to sit and eat our vegan food. We often have free vegan food to give out to people as well. Like we had burgers last Saturday to give out to people to try and get them to eat the vegan burgers rather than going into McDonald's.
Is that going to be an ongoing thing, Rose, or can't you say? Or is that going to be an ongoing campaign?
Yeah, so at the moment I believe it's like a weekly thing. So we're doing it this Saturday. So in London at least it's weekly. It's happening all over the country. Even in America, people started doing it. It's something that you can replicate all over the world wherever you are, because there are McDonald's everywhere. So if you're somewhere where it's not happening already, let's get in touch. We have like kind of training sessions of how to start your own Mixed Sit-In as well, if you want to get involved.
I didn't know if I could ask about the training sessions, but since you mentioned it, could you talk about it or not?
I don't run those, but I believe it's just explaining how to go about it, and a little bit of a training on non-violent direct action, because we have to be completely peaceful. Non-violent is about sitting there, not escalating the situation. We're not there to shout at people. It's basically a visioning action. So it's a vision of tomorrow. This is what we want to see in McDonald's. We want to see yummy vegan food being served and no animal products. But we're going to make it more exciting. We've got some ideas to make it more interesting, because the police don't seem to care too much at the moment. I think McDonald's probably don't want too much of a scene cause with people getting arrested in McDonald's. So we're going to make it more interesting this weekend.
What about
Jonah Whalers just brought up
Sorry, Wendy, go on.
That's what I was just going to say. Jonah Wells just brought up the news about McDonald's committed to investing $1 billion into UK and Ireland, opening another 60 restaurants or so. And we mentioned this to Rose earlier. And Rose, you had quite a positive take on this, didn't you?
Yeah, I just said that we've got more restaurants to do Mixed Sit-In, so it's fine. Obviously it's not great news, but I think we'll use it to our advantage.
So if people want to join for a sit-in or whatever other action Animal Rebellion is or preparing for, or if they want to do the non-violent direct action training, which is I found it extremely useful. how should they proceed? I mean,
Yeah.
contact the organizations through the Facebook page.
Yeah, so there's if you want to like actually join as a volunteer, either part-time or full-time, if you just go on the Animal Rebellion website and click on it's like join us or something like that, and then volunteer, you can fill out the form there. Otherwise, all of our trainings and actions and stuff are on our Facebook events, so you can find them there.
Great.
You got this question about do they not try to remove you? I presume that means McDonald's, but presume they obviously they ring the police now and again. And also you got the public element as well. Any hassle from the public so far?
Yeah, now and again we get some rude comments, or people just telling us how much they love meat or whatever, the usual. But yeah, nothing crazy. The only place that the police did show up on Saturday, just gone in London. They were plainclothes police, and they didn't actually say anything. We never got told to leave by McDonald's staff or the police. So that was kind of strange. So I think they might just be collecting information or whatever. But yeah, in Cornwall, the police did come and threaten with arrest, but then didn't actually arrest anyone and just let us stay in there. And then the Extinction Rebellion Samba band actually came outside to drum for us. So we were all dancing in the McDonald's, annoying the staff and customers, and for about 4 hours. So yeah, we haven't had any arrests in McDonald's as far as I know. So
are you expecting it to, if you like, not escalate, but their kind of forbearance of what you're doing to kind of grow a little bit more tension in it, and so they're going to get pissed off in the end? Do you think it'll change over time? Have you kind of taken that into account?
We're trying to think of new ideas and things for future mix sit-ins. So yeah, I do expect that things might get a bit more heated in the future. We'll see.
Is it interesting to start the campaigns from scratch, Rose? Because obviously you must. I wonder how it all starts from scratch, because obviously you did the distribution centres, and the first I knew of that is I saw you up on a bamboo structure hanging around. I was like, oh, what's Rose up to now? But there was that, and then obviously the mixed sit-ins and maybe other stuff that's planned. Do you have like the goal, the strategy, the tactics all broken down, or does it kind of evolve as it goes? Or I'm just interested in that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, because I think sometimes we come up with like a campaign idea first, and then actions come after that. Or first it might be an action idea, and then because that action has been really successful, then that becomes a campaign. I think that's what happened with the McDonald's one. So yeah, now this is like become a long-term campaign, and obviously we're targeting McDonald's, but it's not just McDonald's we're asking to change. They just represent the meat industry and fishing. So yeah, we're asking all corporations that are responsible for this to change. So yeah, but I think it could be it can be either way. So it could be an action first that turns into a campaign, or just campaign and then actions evolve from there.
I have a practical question. The legal fees for the people that got arrested, are they covered by the fundraising, or there are lawyers that they offer their services for free? How does it work?
Yeah, so it depends. So I think this fundraiser is just for like people's items that they need help with recovering as soon as possible. So yeah, getting new phones and laptops to people, cameras or whatever. But yeah, I think if someone is, say, like on universal credit or what's the word? But yeah, if you can get free legal aid, then yeah, a lot of people can get free legal aid. But yeah, I think there are going to be people that will need help with legal costs. So I believe Animal Rebellion will help with that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I don't deal with the finances or anything. But yeah, I think there will be help for people because yeah, obviously they can be really expensive. But I think if one person in the group qualifies for free legal aid, it might help the others, like the lawyer or solicitor might do it for free for the others.
Right, folks. Well, it's 5 past. So, do we want to wrap up? Any final questions, thoughts, comments, observations?
There's still loads coming in.
Any more praise for Brian?
Yeah, Ink Tippy likes Brian,
Yeah.
and Deb said hello to Brian as well. I told him hello from you, Deb, as well. So he's got a little fan club going on, I know. He does deserve it, though.
You're not biased or anything, are you?
I'm not biased, no.
No.
There's an I don't know if we have time for this, but there was an interesting question from I think it's Ink Tippy. It's Brian's fan club, Ink Tippy. Rose, is it true that one of the activists in the bamboo structures at the disruption isn't vegan, and if so, how do you feel about this?
I don't think they were on my site, because I was in Basingstoke and I know everyone on my site was vegan, but yeah, I don't know if that's true or not. So yeah, maybe at one of the other sites, I'm not sure, but I don't know. I guess we were very short on people that could get arrested anyway. So I guess the question would be like, yeah, what would we do if, say, we couldn't get any vegans to do that action, and the only option to do that action would be to only have non-vegans up a beacon getting arrested? So I don't know, personally, I'd probably say go for it. And like, yeah, obviously it's not ideal. I want everyone to be vegan, but yeah, I think if we don't have an option, or we are low on people and we're going to cause that amount of disruption, then yeah, why not? I mean, I think, yeah, if we...
I love the language, this thing about the ones who could get arrested and the ones who couldn't get arrested. And in my experience, everybody can get arrested. So it's not a question of. I mean, I know what you mean. Obviously, it's
willingly
you kind of nominate yourself.
Willingly, yeah.
You're in a position kind of to do so, but that's quite interesting. This issue that just brought up here by Ink Tippy, this is what Jake Conroy keeps talking about. It would be good for vegan activists to also work with non-vegan activists for a common cause, and then the chances are that if this was true, the theory is that the person who wasn't a vegan is more likely to go vegan by working alongside, rubbing shoulders with the vegans. I mean, that's probably the way that it would be thought of, I would think.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true. And also, I think Animal Rebellion do a really good job of working with other organizations outside of the animal rights community. We support like animal rights events as well, like by providing like speakers or equipment or things. But we also do that for like BLM and Kill the Bill and things, and like organizations that are definitely not vegan, but they have been like so welcome. Like, we don't ask for anything in return either, especially like Kill the Bill and United for Black Lives have been so supportive and always like do shout outs for Animal Rebellion and talk about vegan food at their events and stuff now. And without that relationship, they wouldn't be talking about the animals at all or about having vegan food at their events. So, yeah, I totally agree. It's really important to be doing that.
I suppose one caveat to all that would be that it wouldn't be great to have those people as the spokespersons.
Yeah.
You know, that would be a problem, wouldn't it? You know, so that would be an issue.
Yeah, I think asking people, I think Animal Rebellion have always said like, and it's something that we've been criticized for as well, but inviting non-vegans to our actions, like if someone comes to like say the Animal Rights March or an Animal Rebellion action or wherever, or so any kind of like animal rights event that's not vegan, I think we should welcome them, because hopefully they'll see why they should go vegan and meet us, and see that we're not all crazy angry vegans, and that it's like it's a positive thing that we're doing. And I think
you're starting on common ground. You've got more chance to kind of for people to see, you know, that we have got common cause in fighting oppression, whatever those oppressions are, and that they are linked, and they're all important, and that we need to be consistent with our stand for justice. It's not just about one thing or another. They're all connected. So I think we have, it's a real way in, isn't it? If we could get people who are not vegan to come in and advocate from that place, rather than just trying to just stay in our little vegan bubble. We're going to stay very small if we have that mindset, I suppose. Just to say, there's quite a few people saying they've been motivated. Amber said, thank you, this was fascinating, really motivated me. So that's really good to hear, because I think that's one thing that we really wanted as a team, is we wanted to try to inspire people to get out there and take action and just get back into activism, and to feel motivated and encouraged and supported, and reach out and give us ideas, and, you know, ask for ideas, share information and strategies and things like that. So thank you for saying that. Jeremy says, way to kick off the Grassroots series. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate that.
Right. So are we going to say tutty byes to everybody then, are we? Perhaps we are.
Suppose we should.
Okay, well,
Shame though. Good fun.
I shall see if I can work out how to end this thing on this particular platform. Anyway, I'll press this button and see what happens. So bye, folks. If this works.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Rose. Thank you so much.